Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play LSD. I'm your host TPC Gamer, and I see no reason not to do a couple more of these. I know that I normally post in batches of 6, but I also know that 75 is a good number of episodes. So that's what I'm going to do. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy your free, terrible content. Now I have noticed that my desire to do this game in particular, it comes and goes with how much I actually dream in the real world. Oh, and this is an interesting start location. I'm just gonna bow to the Sphinx right here, because if I don't, I'm gonna get some kind of ancient Egyptian curse. There's a CPC game about that. 2, in fact. In Total Eclipse, you had to climb to the top of the Great Pyramid of Giza and blow up the Sphinx. Because that's where the Sphinx is, shut up. And then in Total Eclipse 2, you were cursed for having destroyed the Sphinx, and you had to put it back together again. And I wonder why I linked there. Oh, what the... Oh, yeah, it's this tile set. I thought something had broken texture-wise. I wonder what the water looks like, actually. Oh, it's murky green. One of the worst colours that water can be, as far as this guy's concerned. Anyways, yeah, I'm surprised that I linked with Tower Bridge in the first map, because in earlier episodes, I showed how you can just walk underneath it, and the nav mesh lets you go through it, but I guess this time I was just a little bit too tall to do that. Ooh, I see Hopscotch Girl in the background. And I think she needs a name too. So I'm going to go with Emily Popskopopoulos, spelled exactly the way that it sounds. I wonder what her dress looks like. It's kind of hard to tell, because it's really dark out here, and she's not actually being lit from anywhere. For example, she's got a deathly grey pallor. Although it looks like she's wearing something pink, so there you go. Maybe she's an untextured model. I don't know. I have looked through the files on this disc, and I don't remember seeing any clothing textures in there. Ho ho, you don't. If you missed it last time, I think I found a way of telling when the Grey Man is going to show up, because the music stutters a little just before he arrives. So just assume that any time I stop still like that, it's me thinking the Grey Man is coming to get me, and certainly not my decades-old electronics refusing to work. Why would it be that? It's certainly just me being overprepared. I'm actually going to go take a proper look at the skipping girl again. I mean, I'll admit it, I kind of cheated you guys out of it earlier. Didn't get a proper look. Nothing? It's kind of hard to tell if the Grey Man is coming based solely on the music, because sometimes it just stops playing on its own. Like, I think it's the music engine overloading with the footsteps and all. And here we are. Hello there, Hopscotch Girl. What'd I call you, Emily? Probably. It's a name from a little side project I'm working on. Point of note about that, I told my artist that, for one of the characters, look at literally any picture of Al Capone, and see if he doesn't look like the cockiest, most powerful man in the world. Oh. Well, I was going to talk about that girl's top and all, but I think that I am now going to fall through the floor again. There we go. I really hope this isn't going to be a recurring thing, or something I can't escape from. Like, the last few times I've been linked to the Grey Room like that, it's been in mid-air, so I fall through the floor when I move. And I would have liked to get onto that red square on the grid, but... hell, I can't complain. I mean, you saw that very bottom right square. That's all the way off the edge of the map. And I think it lined up with the red squares. I'm gonna need to check that out. Techstream? Is that you? Oh. No, it isn't. Alrighty then. That is probably for the best, because I feel super bad about nagging my translator to give me some English words. Like, she's super cool and all, and it is precisely for that reason that I don't want to bother her with my silly Japanese nonsense. Okay, so you see this bit here? I thought that that was part of the map refusing to load in. You know, like in Kyoto, when huge portions just don't show up. Don't complain, it's still early for me. Well, since this is not a huge gap in the scenery, I'm going to go this way and see what's up. and maybe pick a topic. We've got maybe 5 minutes on the clock. I should probably start talking about something. Like, one of my friends and I, we've been watching some of my older videos lately, and it is surprising how far I've come. I mean, surprisingly, I mostly get annoyed with older me's timing issues. Like, pause for breath, young me. The internet's not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure this is where the UFOs like to spawn. If the game deems me worthy. Which I guess it isn't. Oh, game, why must you tease me so? Like, also, YouTube has suggested a couple of videos to me lately. Some guy who makes videos where he responds to some of his older videos. And surely you're onto a recursive thing there. Because if you go right back to the start of your videos and react to them, you can get to the end and react to your reactions on your first videos, and then you can react to those, and it just keeps going and going and going, and then you just spiral downwards into this endless nightmare of staring at yourself and insulting at yourself. And you know what? I kind of began this tangent making fun of the idea, but the more I think about it, the more I think how fascinating it would be to watch people descend into madness in real time. I'm just going to get a look at this guy. I know I'm walking on him, but it's easier to see if you look down the pit. And I don't know how intentional it is, but it looks like a skull face. Which is weird, because there's not a great deal of facial structure to it. Well, actually, I suppose there is. I mean, there's obvious eyes, nose, and teeth right there. I don't know, it's just creepy, is all. I mean, you imagine wandering around a field of giant disembodied skulls? It's horrifying. I like the way the skull face texture wraps around the statue up there. That looks good. It reminds me of Jade Cocoon. And that was one of the first games that really introduced me to the idea of swapping textures around to create different creatures. Okay, now you're just teasing me with whatever it is this Bella's supposed to do, but is refusing to do. Whatever. But yeah, Jade Cocoon. You could fuse two monsters together, and it would use the model of one, but the textures of another. And you could come up with all kinds of cool stuff, like a bug that had giant metal wings, or a weird panda spider. The spider-looking thing was the best monster in Jade Cocoon, because its attack animation was this cool six-legged dropkick. Like, I hate the way that spiders walk. I mean, they have a very deliberate step to the way they walk, and I hate it, but Jade Cocoon, it made it work. And now I just want to play Jade Cocoon again, because that game was pretty good. And it's the reason I picked up a PlayStation, incidentally. Probably interesting to look at the games that caused me to cave in and pick up the various consoles I picked up. Like, the only ones I remember, Jade Cocoon, Smash Bros. Melee, and that one Silent Hill game that I ended up marrying. I might need to put some degree of thought into this. Why can I hear that creaking sound again? Because this is a little side alley, and I'm pretty sure the Jaunty Ox only shows up in what I have just decided to call Main Street, in the hopes that you guys know what I'm talking about. And this calls for some echolocation. Well, maybe it doesn't. Forget that thought, because what's that thing? I'm using vague pronouns and assuming you guys know what I'm talking about. I do that in the real world too, just spit out words and hope that folks can follow the general direction of my train of thought. Oh, it's a tree! I wonder why it's got a rope tied around it. Should probably look that up. Just watch, I'll go to the wiki and it will say, there is a tree in Kyoto, and that's it. Like, the very best kind of adventure game dialogue. Oh, but forget that tangent, because I see Jaunty Ox. He's not on the main street, but that's okay. He is a cool guy, and he can go wherever he wants. Including two places at the same time, apparently. Man, you are so cool, Jaunty Ox. Just look at your confident stride. I know that I'd have a confident swagger in my step if I knew I could transcend space and time. There would also be a lot more school bullies with broken legs. But that's probably not at all related to me suddenly getting the ability to travel through time. I'll give you that idea, I'm not I'm not that petty. And I do not care how much you hint, game. I'm not going to play with the bell anymore tonight. Like, what is meant to happen? You interact with the bell somehow, and the game is meant to play a video of falling cherry blossoms. And I have noticed that one of the game's intro videos has a stylized clip of cherry blossoms in parts. So I wonder if, like, the clip from the intro is based on what we're meant to see if the bell does its thing. I sure wish it would do its thing, because that way I can at least compare, but nope, I guess we are not going to see that. I kind of forget where I learned the bit about the cherry blossoms. Maybe I dreamed the whole thing, and I'm basing this whole tangent on a series of lies. Wouldn't be the first time. Certainly not in this series, anyway. But I'm going to let you work out what that means for yourselves, because now it's Horror Town! I'm going to go see if the skipping girl is there again. I mean, I can't hear her, so I'm going to assume no, but it's worth checking. Because as they say, assuming makes an ass out of you, and you alone, you judgmental moron. Or is it just me who says that? Anyway, she's not there. And I just realized that the actions I just took, although in a video game, are super creepy. Like, who peers around the corner of a creepy apartment building to see if the little kids are there? The villain in a movie. That's who. That'd be pretty good for a video game. Like, you play as Freddy or Jason or the Xenomorph or whatever, and it's your job to skulk around and pick people off as and when you can. Bonus points and score multipliers awarded for using an appropriate one-liner. Oh, actually, no, I'm just going to keep quiet for a little moment. Nice. The last time that happened, it got cut off behind me talking, and you probably couldn't hear the chiming bell. And it really does a good job of highlighting the sudden nature of the body appearing. Is that trope in Japanese media? That horrific cutaway coupled with a deep ringing bell? Or is that an anime staple and I just revealed myself to be a horrible nerd? As if playing games like this did not already do that. I just noticed, with the woman showing up, the splashing noise in the distance has picked up. It sounds like it's doubled, actually. Now, I've said before, I think the splashing sound is generated by something. I don't know what that something is, but using what I know of 3D environments in general, there's probably an object somewhere in the world that is generating that splashing noise. And it sounds like, with that body appearing, there is now a second generator. And it might be a futile mission to even look, because it's entirely possible that the sound generator is invisible. Or if it isn't, it's hidden inside the level geometry. So it may as well be. But with that said, it's... well, alright then. Thank you very much, Dynamic Linking Point. You must really want me to see that hanging body, huh? I did not know there was a linking point up there. Maybe I need a new word. Because to me, linking points are the ones that unload and reload the map. A warp point, maybe? I don't know. So what was I doing? I was doing something inconsequential, apparently, because the dream wants me to wake up. Well played, you rogue. And you know what? It's things like that that make me think the game's got some kind of sentience to it. I know it doesn't, because, I mean, it can barely get its own tracking AI right sometimes. But you've seen how this game just throws out text streams at the start of videos, or it stops doing things the moment I draw attention to it. Kinda makes me think that someone's back there pulling the strings. I did something similar in an RPG once. I ran the same scenario twice at the same time, and both scenarios took place in the same world, but the teams couldn't see each other. So as far as they were concerned, doors were opening and closing on their own, important items were just moving around when they weren't looking. it's kind of interesting, because one team kinda figured it out, and they wanted to communicate with whatever else was in the room with them, but they tried to do it via talking, which didn't work, and then they just gave up. And the other team, they thought they were being attacked by ghosts or something, so they just wanted to kill it. And this is just great. Am I going to move through the floor? Apparently not. Now that's actually a good thing, because I like coming to this room and screwing around. It'd suck if the game had corrupted the code in such a way that it had completely removed my ability to come here. Although with that said, there's not a great deal to actually do in there since nothing is spawning, so whatever. Let's go back out. Let's see if we can find something worthwhile to do. Oh, and that's great. If I move, am I going to get caught in your aggro range and go to the... Yep. There it is. Although I do get to call science and see what happens when we go to the grey room. I don't know if I'm in the air or not, because you haven't spawned me on or near anything. And I think this is the video game version of going, I know something you don't know. Which, when done sincerely, is about the best and fastest way to drive me into a blinding hot rage. Is the floor textured? Yes. Yes, it is. Looks like I was walking on plain white for a moment. But I have a couple of friends who tease me jokingly, and that's cool. That's fine, I can take a joke. But when somebody actually does that for real, actual seething fury. I should probably stop revealing all my supervillain weaknesses like that, because it's gonna come back and haunt me. Like that one time when I wrote down a list of all my greatest fears on the back of my school timetable. Boy, did that end badly, let me tell you. Oh hey, you don't have the blue metal texture. You look like a tree frog. The blue kind. I want to say it's called something clever, like blue tree frog, but I would have to look that up. Now, I'm actually going to follow you, see if you do anything when you reach the edge of the world. My experience in following NPCs to the map boundaries has worked out fairly well for me in recent videos, so we'll see what this guy does. Hopefully, it's not Spawn the Grey Man, like the woman in the temple did. That was not cool. That was room temperature. We've got to be near the end now, shit. Oh, well, thanks for nothing, game. That's... You know what that is? That is the lazy way out. That is, I don't know how to have this thing react to the edge of the map, so I'm gonna kill it before it gets there. And it's possibly for the best, because I can think of a couple games where data goes outside the map boundaries. It kinda ruins everything. And those games are Twilight Princess and Jet Set Willy. Well, so much for my stuttering music hypothesis. You suck, game. You and your vanishing NPCs. Is that where the game vanished? The spaceship vanished to make sure he could show up? You know what? No. I'm gonna go and screw around with that dustbin, see what effect it has on the dream chart. And then I'm gonna turn off my dazzle and go sulk for a little bit. But first, I'm gonna talk about Zelda. If you use every letter slot when naming your horse, the data overflows into itself, which spills over into the Wii's hardware, and it actually makes the Wii OS function better than it does on its own. It is a huge developer oversight. And it's weird, because a lot of Squaresoft games used to test for that very thing, especially when they got localized. Like Final Fantasy VII and possibly 8, they each have a menu option to fill up your name field, so they can test text alignment and whether or not saving the game will completely ruin everything. And that is not the ending I expected to get. Weird. Anyway, join us next time for some more LSD, and until next time, goodbye!